Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day, live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer not coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. Instead, we are outside Alec Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field. It is opening day, LSU Baseball 2025, and we are fired up to be here. Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali are back there on the ones and twos. We got 2 hours to get you ready for LSU and Purdue Fort Wayne in the season opener. We're going to chat with Kramer Robertson a little bit later. Antoine Duplantis is going to stop by a little bit later. Alex Milazzo will be here as well. And we're going to talk a little football with Preston Guy in the second hour, but lots of baseball over the next 2 hours, so lock us in. We are fired up. You are here. We'll start the same way we start every single day with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
My pleasure to welcome to the set Jamie Tutko, Director of Player Development. I've also seen Video Director, Scouting. How should I introduce Jamie Tutko today? You wear a lot of hats these days.
Yeah, no, Director of Player Development is perfect. Yeah, Director of Player Development.
And you're actually, speaking of wearing a hat, you're actually wearing baseball pants today, which you were not when you sat in this chair last year. We're changing things up attire-wise for the game today?
Yeah. You know, I decided to switch it up a little bit. My roles have changed a little moving into this year, so, really excited and figured I should go ahead and match what everybody else is wearing in the dugout.
I like to see it. Look, if you see Jay Johnson at some point in the dugout this season, you'll probably see Jamie Tutko right there beside him. How are the guys right now? I know that dating back, obviously, to the fall, it's a lot of playing each other. It's a lot of empty stadiums. And then finally today, you're going to have 10,000 in there, and you're going to be playing somebody else. Give me the mindset of the team today.
Yeah, I mean, they're excited, obviously. I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a little bit of butterflies. There always are when it's opening day. And they're definitely excited to, play somebody else in a different uniform. You can tell that over the last couple of weeks, it's they've been itching at it. So a lot of excitement. The guys are locked in. They're taking BP right now and getting ready to go.
It's a different era. As of 5 years ago, you would have generally had 20, 25 guys that played last year on the team together. It's not the case anymore. You're going to have defections. You're going to have guys that leave in the draft. You all have had a whole host of those. And then you're going to bring in a lot of talent, freshmen and transfer portal guys. So what's gone into the fall and the preseason as far as making that a cohesive team as opposed to just a bunch of really talented dudes? Because I know y'all have that.
Yeah, no, it's extremely important. The team aspect, at this level, of college baseball is unbelievably important. And, going back to like the 2023 season, that team just gelled on a totally different level. And, leading up to the regular season, throughout the fall, I mean, it was just everything that we did was together. Everything that we're doing on the field from a practice side is all about the team and really stressing that, the team goals outweigh each individual goals. And if we take care of our team goals, the individual goals will come.
They certainly did for that team. Let's talk a little bit about your team entering today. Kane Anderson's going to get the baseball first. We saw him last year. There were some outings where, man, he was lights out. I think back to Rice, Southeastern, and even his last couple of outings in the SEC tournament and the regional. But there were some bumpy ones in the middle, as a freshman generally would. What did you see from him last year, and what should we see today?
Yeah, last year, I think when he made his first outing in the fall, I remember looking over at Coach Johnson and saying, that's what they look like, right? That's what the Friday night guy in this league looks like as a freshman. And last year, he ended up throwing, I think, somewhere around 40 innings and threw some really big innings, especially down the stretch, obviously. And, one thing that he really focused on moving into this year was developing a second breaking ball, right? It was mainly fastball, curveball last year. The slider development on top of the changeup development has been unbelievably huge for him and has really set him on this path where he earned the Friday night job throughout the fall and then throughout the spring scrimmages. So, really excited to see him go out there and compete because that's what he does really well.
How's he mentally? We haven't seen him as a starter and at this level before. Talk to kind of the mental makeup of the youngster.
Yeah, I talked to him. This was probably about 3 weeks ago, and I had caught him in the pitching lab, and it was just the two of us before practice one day. And I looked at him and I said, "Hey, man, you are only a sophomore, right? But the guys in the locker room, the guys on this staff, they look up to you like you're a senior, right? They look up to you with every single thing that you do, and don't stop, continuing to be that leader that you are. So from a mentality side of things, there's no worry for me whatsoever. I mean, he's extremely confident, and he's going to go out there, and you'll see that from pitch one.
We're talking to Jamie Tutko, LSU's Director of Player Development, out here before LSU and Purdue Fort Wayne from the box. Tomorrow, Anthony Ianson will get the ball. This is a year where y'all have taken a lot of guys from quote-unquote lower levels, whether it be a different conference, different junior college. There's a few guys as well, as opposed to the Tommy White, Jacob Berry, Thatcher Hurd, Gage Jump, Luke Coleman. Those guys were from Power 5. Ianson was really good at Cal San Diego last year. How has that translated to SEC guys in scrimmages?
Yeah, you're right. He came from a smaller school, obviously, and but when we were evaluating him throughout the transfer portal, he was also he was a Team USA guy, right? So he had earned his spot on that team, based off of his performance last year, obviously. But looking at him in the transfer portal, it was pretty obvious. Nowadays, with the amount of video, the amount of TrackMan data, all the information that we can find, we were able to look and say, this guy is there's a no-brainer that this guy can pitch in this league. It's just all about a mentality side of things, right? He's never done it. The stuff is more than good enough. And the first time I met him when he came on his recruiting visit, it was evident right away that the mental side of things was not going to be an issue for this kid. He's phenomenal, unbelievable 80 makeup, like we like to say, 80 makeup, phenomenal kid, and you'll see, tomorrow when he goes out there and competes too.
Gavin Guidry's a guy that I'm interested to see because we know him so well. But Jay talked in multiple interviews about whether or not he might be stretched out, potentially could look at starting, got to develop a third pitch probably to do that. Where is he different than he's been the first 2 years where he's pitched a lot of big-time spots for y'all? Yeah,
no, you nailed it right on the head. The development of a third and a fourth pitch has been unbelievably huge for him. The first 2 years he's been so dominant out of the bullpen with pretty much two pitches. It's fastball and it's slider, and we use the slider a ton. And, I like to I like to talk to him about the slider being like his get out of jail card, right? We've always got the slider. The slider's always going to be there. You fall behind in the count, we're good because we've got the slider, right? And that's why he's been able to have a lot of success. But, if he wanted to take that next step in his development, it was going to be the development of the curveball, the development of the changeup, and then working on the fastball command. And he's done all of that. This past summer, he went out to drive line in Arizona, worked his tail off, and came back in the fall and was arguably, one of our top 2 or 3 pitchers in the fall from a result standpoint, and then was really, really good as well in the spring and the scrimmages. And, really excited for him. And I think that, you're going to probably end up seeing him in multiple different roles this year and not just that back end. And if that's what the role that he carves out and he's the back end guy, I mean, there's nobody else on that staff that I would rather give the ball to with a 1-run lead at home in the 9th inning against Tennessee. It's a no-brainer. It's Gavin Guidry.
When you think about catcher, 3 guys have caught 100% of y'all's games the last 2 years as far as starting catching concerns, and 2 of them ran out of eligibility. Alex Milazzo sitting in that tent over there. I don't think he's going to be much help to y'all today, and 1 transferred out. So you're going to have different guys behind the plate. I know that's a big deal for the pitching staff. What have you seen from those guys?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It's totally different. And you're talking about a guy in Luis Hernandez who has 4 years of college baseball playing experience at Indiana State, but he was not necessarily, he wasn't a catcher at Indiana State. They had a Gold Glove catcher. He caught a little bit here and there, but it was more of a DH and would play the corner, first and third. But he has come in here and if you would have seen him in the fall, you would have never guessed that he was not a catcher at his previous stop. I mean, he's come in and he is just, I like to say, he's just a baseball guy. He understands the staff. He relates to the guys. He's able to calm guys down in the moment. The moment's not going to be too big for him, playing in front of 10,000. It's probably the first time he's ever going to play in front of 10,000 people, and there's no worry at all with him. And Cade Aaron Beatty, the young buck, getting in there and really, really performing well in the fall, and then in the early spring scrimmages, he's going to get that opportunity to play here soon too, and really, really excited for both of those 2 guys. I know there's no SEC playing experience between the 2 of them, but that does not worry me in any way.
I'm curious about the amount of talent that y'all have as far as the position players go. And I know Jay is close to the rest of the lineup, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot with that. But you're going to start 9 guys today. Is it fair to say that over the Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to see some other guys in the starting lineup?
Yeah. If not in the starting lineup, you're going to see them coming into the game at some point. You know, from a depth perspective, this team is as deep as it gets in college baseball, especially the lineup and the staff-wise. But, yes, you will see multiple options. It's going to be, they're going to throw a left-hander tomorrow, so I can promise you that the lineup today is not going to be the same that it is tomorrow. So, but, yeah, there's going to be a lot of guys getting different opportunities over the first couple of weeks.
You got any opening day superstitions?
No, I like to get here early. So I didn't beat Coach Johnson today. I tried to.
What time was that?
I pulled in about 7:15, so 7:15. So not super early, but he was already here, and he was rocking and rolling, ready to go.
Y'all got a meeting to get to, so I'll let you go. That's Jamie Tutko, the Director of Player Development. I appreciate a little bit of your time today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
He is Jamie Tutko. He's got to go get to a meeting, go win a baseball game, but we appreciate him for giving us a little bit of time here on this opening day. We're out here outside Alex Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field, LSU and Purdue Fort Wayne. Take a time out. We'll come back with a little bit more of the Hunt Palmer Show. Kramer Robertson, not too far down the line, so we'll see if we can grab him coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Look, bathroom can be a hazardous place. We know that. And especially as folks age, you may want to mitigate against what could be a really harmful fall. If you've got somebody in your life that is aging, maybe lives alone, and you want to do what you can to try to avoid that type of situation, non-slip floors are available. You can put handrails against slippery places. You can do walk-in tubs that are, 1, more convenient, and 2, safer. You can put benches and showers, and they can handle the entire thing, as David Duvall always says, from soup to nuts. If you're thinking, I'm paying for that right now, maybe not be awesome, I understand that's a common theme, but there is financing available, 0% for 18 months, same as cash if you qualify for that. It all starts at OneBathAndClosets.com. Get on by and see him by the website. David Duvall and his team are happy to help you. It's all there online, OneBathAndClosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Fired up to be here at Alex Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field. A lot of purple and gold swarming this place right now, and it should be pretty full house. Look, here's the deal. I have seen better opening days as far as weather goes. I have seen a lot worse. My freshman year at LSU, it was 2007 season. It was Maneri's first year, and I walked over to the old box. Charlie Furbush was on the mound against St. Mary's. I would bet every nickel to my name that in the 5th inning there's no chance it was in the high 30s. It had to be around 30 degrees. It was so cold. Furbush, I think, struck out like the first 7 guys he faced or something. The team wasn't very good, but it could be worse. But it's pretty nice. Everybody's got their jackets on and they're filing inside the box to see some baseball this afternoon. As soon as we have the lineup, which I would imagine will be in about 40 minutes, we'll certainly get to it. As I've mentioned a couple of times, we're going to chat with Kramer Robertson here in a few minutes. We're going to chat with Antoine Duplantis and Alex Milazzo as well. If you're coming out to the box right now and would like to come by and say hey to them, more importantly than me, they're at the National L Club tent right there between all the flags that spell out LSU's 7 national championships. I'm just about 50 yards, 45 yards over to their right behind home plate near the big tiger here at the box. So go by, see them. Come on by and say hey to me. We appreciate it very much. I appreciate Jamie Tutko for giving us a little bit of time here today because I know he's got to get to a meeting. And now as I look out, I got distracted there because it started to rain. Where did that come from? I didn't even know that was a possibility. I got Bo in here scrambling. He's moving the camera. It's not a torrential rain, but it is raining a little bit. So hopefully that gets on out of here over the course of the next hour and 30 minutes. But we've still got a lot of baseball to talk about. And I want to start with Cade Anderson right here. We did briefly mention him with Jamie Tutko, and they've talked about him being kind of a transformed guy. And I mentioned this on yesterday's show, and certainly do mean it. They need Cade Anderson or someone to really take the bull by the horns for this team and be a guy that can go out there on Fridays and dominate. I'm not asking for Paul Skeens. I'm not asking for Hagen Smith. Those guys, excuse me, was fighting off a sneeze there for a minute. But I am asking for somebody who reliably can go out there for 6 2/3, 7 1/3, strike out 8 or 9, and hold the other team to 2 runs. Like, that's something you've got to have. And we've seen LSU teams in the past that haven't had that. And all indications from inside LSU's baseball program are that Cade Anderson is ready for this. But you never really know until you see it. And he's got the mid-90s fastball. We'll see that today. I am really excited to get a look at this new slider. Last year, if you remember with Cade Anderson, the breaking ball was a little bit loopy. Now, it could be dominant. It was really good in the game against Southeastern over in Hammond early in the season, and it was really good in the regional in Chapel Hill. That pitch can be effective, but it doesn't tunnel with a fastball all that well, so it could be easier to pick up. For Cade to be able to throw that fastball at 95 and then tunnel, if you're not familiar with that, the ball looks the same. It's in the same kind of tunnel, for lack of a better term, and then it just breaks off the table and it's sharper. That's the pitch that Cade Anderson has developed that is going to separate him here. And one of the things that I picked up from Jay's press conferences, and y'all know how I feel about press conferences, I can leave like 90% of what's said in a press conference complete coach speak. If you were listening to Kellen Moore yesterday down in Metairie talking about his job with the Saints, there was very little from that you could even glean. Like, it was just a bunch of nothing. And that's okay. I'm okay. That doesn't mean Kellen Moore's disqualified from the gig. Like, I think that's fine. But every once in a while, I will pick up something in a press conference that I think does mean something. And when Jay Johnson was asked about everybody wanting to be the Friday night starter and everybody wanting to be the closer, he said, and I'm paraphrasing, something to the effect of, I mean, if you've watched any of the scrimmages, the guy that's going to start for us on Friday is not really up for debate. And that is something that I think means a lot, because this is not just based on a radar gun read. This is not based on, in football terms, like a 5-star recruit. This is not based on anything that has been promised for a Lifetime Achievement Award. This is based on a guy who went out there against a lineup that we think has legitimately 10 guys, 11 guys that are legitimate SEC hitters, and has churned them up. And that means a lot. So I'm excited to watch Cade Anderson pitch in this game, and I think that's the biggest piece to today's puzzle. There are a couple of other things that I will be watching for. One, and I've mentioned this a lot, but it is certainly worth bearing as we get into this. Catching defense is so freaking important. And I know we like to look at the statistics and say how many home runs you have and how many runs you drove in, and we like to look at pitchers' ERAs, and we like to look at pitcher strikeout numbers, and all that's well and good. But there are little things that mean so much in tight games. And when you play 30 of these SEC games, games get tight. And one thing that does not differ in playing Purdue, Fort Wayne, or Tennessee is receiving and blocking the baseball, because it's not getting hit. So if you can't do it against Purdue, Fort Wayne, you can't do it against Tennessee. And if you can't do it against Purdue, Fort Wayne, you can do it against Tennessee. And when I have gone out to watch LSU in scrimmages thus far in the fall and in the spring, the preseason as it were, I have seen a lot of free bases from balls that were not blocked up. Some of that's on the pitchers, but some of that is on the catchers, and it's not unique to just one guy. It's not like LSU's got, and I can use this guy because he's a legend. Not like they got Brad Cressy out there. Well, yeah, he went out there and he gave up 3 free bases today, but you know what? He hit 2 homers and drove in 6 runs, so we'll live. Not like you got somebody back there like that behind the plate. So you need someone behind the plate that's going to block the ball up. And I'm not talking about just today. I'm talking about today, tomorrow, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You have to block the baseball up. You cannot allow really good teams to get into scoring position when they don't earn it. If you got Skeens back there on the mound, well, he can probably strike the next 2 guys out. Newsflash, we ain't got Skeens. So you've got to play good defense, and that's Luis Hernandez, that is Cade Arambidi, that is Blaze Priester if he gets a shot back there. And something that I've been told, and I'll be watching for this, is there are some batteries, meaning the pitcher and the catcher, that they feel good about, and some that they don't feel as good about. So do not be surprised if over the course of the next 5 games, which is through the midweek and even in the next weekend, if you see a pitching change in the 6th or 7th inning, maybe even in the 9th inning. and with it comes a catcher change. And I'll be looking for that, and you'll kind of get a sense of who they feel good about catching who. And some of that has to do with guys that trust more with their breaking ball. Like, it's a different thing catching William Schmidt, who can be a little bit, who's got great stuff, but can be a little bit, he can miss his spots a little bit. And it's a little bit different thing catching Gavin Guidry, who you know is going to spike that breaking ball and spike that breaking ball and spike that breaking ball time and time and time again. Those are two different guys to catch. So you may see two different guys catch those two guys. So there's so much talent on this LSU pitching staff. Guidry, Schmidt certainly included in that. Cade Anderson certainly included in that. You heard Jamie Tutko in the previous segment talking about Anthony Ianson. I'm excited to see Chase Shores on Sunday. I mean, you're just dripping with talent and guys that can throw it so hard and spin the ball so well. But they present different challenges to catchers. And I'm curious to see who they trust. My understanding is that Luis Hernandez is going to catch today. If we find out differently than that, I'll certainly let you know. But that's my understanding, that you will see that today. And I'm curious to see how all of that goes. It's a big, big deal for this team. And then I think over the course of the next 3 days, as we talked to Jamie Tutko about in the last segment, you're going to see different guys play. This is a segment that I did on Tuesday and have continued to do really all week about how different lineups shake out than they do on opening day. I do not expect, like, Tanner Reeves to be in the lineup today to start. He could be. Maybe he's DH. I'm not sure. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think he's probably your fourth infielder at this point. He's going to start a game here pretty soon and get a couple pinch hit at bats pretty soon because they see something in that bat. And I don't think you'll see him in the starting lineup tomorrow because, as Jamie said, Purdue-Fort Wayne is going to throw a left-hander tomorrow, so that means that you're probably going to see as many right-handed bats as LSU can put in there reasonably. You're not going to pull some of the guys out of there, but you're going to see some guys hitting from the right side, and that's not Tanner Reeves. So Milam can hit from the right side. Obviously, Braswell can hit from the right side, and Danny Dickinson hits from the right side. So maybe tomorrow's not the day for Danny Dickinson, so maybe Sunday is the day for Danny Dickinson. Maybe today is the day for Tanner Reeves. But you're going to see him. You're going to see Ashton Larson and Josh Pearson at some point. Those guys are too good to just sit there and collect dust in the dugout. Like, that's not going to happen. So you're going to see a host of guys play, and they'll see kind of where it shakes out. And then the last thing is the deploying of the bullpen, specifically in close games. I'm not as concerned with who goes out there and gives me an inning or two innings in a 13-1 game, which you could see today. That doesn't mean a lot to me. But if over the course of the next 3 days you get into a 6-5 game, a 6-4 game in the 6th or 7th inning, who's up? Who's ready to go? Because I feel like Connor Ware and Gavin Guidry are the two guys that I would peg in that slot. But I don't know that that's the case until we see it. And those two guys both are very capable of going out there and getting 7 outs, so coming in the 7th inning and getting the last out in the 7th and then going through the 8th and 9th, like Griffin Herring did a bunch last year. And I think both of those guys are probably capable of going out there and getting 3 outs in the 9th of a close game and then coming back 2 days later and giving you 2 innings in that game so they can affect 2 different games. I don't know how Jay Johnson wants to handle that. It got to a point last year where you knew that once LSU got a chance in the first game of the SEC weekend, whether that was Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or even Thursday, Griffin Herring was coming in there in the 7th inning and he was going to go the rest of the way, and that's probably all you're going to see from him the entire weekend. Maybe that's what they want to do again this year. Maybe they don't, because they have more options. They didn't have any options last year. Every once in a while, Ackenhausen was good. Every once in a while, he wasn't. Every once in a while, Yo was good. Every once in a while, he wasn't. Every once in a while, Christian Little was good. Every once in a while, he wasn't. And so you were so hot and cold out there, you just had to choke off the first game you could with Griffin Herring. I think they got more options this year, and certainly in the non-conference, you do have more options because LSU is just way more talented than every team they're going to play over the next 4 weeks. That includes the teams that they see in Frisco. So I want to see how Jay Johnson uses his bullpen guys. The odds are, you never know, but the odds are that you're going to see some lopsided games this weekend, and we won't be able to take a lot from those bullpen decisions. But there is certainly the opportunity to have a close game here and there, especially like today. The wind's blowing in today. The wind's supposed to blow in pretty hard on Sunday. Those can create really close games. Tomorrow, the wind's supposed to be howling out of the south. So we'll see. But I'm curious to see how LSU kind of deploys those bullpen arms. On Fridays, we're brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Always a pleasure to tell you about my friends over at Corks. You can check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. If you're tailgating at the box all spring long and you need to feed a lot of people, Corks is happy to do it. What's better than a big old tray of crispy fried catfish or an awesome jumbo shrimp or a po' boy? What's better than those crispy shoestring fries as well? It's all there at Corks, and they're happy to help you. Or maybe you're just trying to go get some lunch. Go see them today. Government between Foster and Jefferson. It's my friends at Corks. See them online at corksfishandshrimp.com. We still got to hear from Kramer Robertson. We got to hear from Antoine Duplantis. We got to hear from Alex Milazzo. Preston Guy's going to join us in the second hour. We're going to get the lineup here coming up, and I'll give you a good idea of what I think it means. All that's coming up. We're out here at Alec Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field. If you're coming out to the box, which I think it has stopped raining, Bo, give me a thumbs up on that. It looks like it has stopped raining. We got about an 8-minute shower there, but it is slowed down. If you're coming out to the box, come see us. We're just behind home plate, a little bit down the third base side. If you're at work, just lock us in. We'll get you to first pitch, and I know where you're headed from that point forward. So thanks for hanging out with us on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. When you think Genesis, think luxury. When you think luxury, don't think, well, I can't afford that. How do you know? Genesis model is to have a luxury experience, a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. Get on by and see them, airline at Piku, chat with one of their brand ambassadors, and just see. You might be surprised. They've got every single make and model that you could want there. Goes from the sedan all the way up to the SUV. And they're luxury vehicles, and they come with some great, great deals. You're talking about 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, talking about 3 years of complimentary maintenance. All of it is at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Start that process today at genesisofbatonrouge.com or go see them at Airline at Piku. Genesis of Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
You know something that makes me very happy? It's just looking just over to my left and seeing 7 national championship flags flying in the wind. That makes me very happy. I was talking to our producer, Bo Wegman, who's on site here and helps us get all this stuff set up. And I said, you know, I could drive 5 hours over to College Station. I wouldn't see one of those flags, would I? Now, they all think they're getting one in 4 months, and that certainly remains to be seen. But it's a nice feeling, and there's a reason why there are so many people that are filing into the ballpark today, and it's because we've had a pretty good run here in baseball over the last 30 years. And it's exemplified right there in Championship Plaza. So as you come in today to the box, you'll see it. We're out here at Fan Fest. If you're coming out to the box and you got some kiddos, there's huge inflatables. They can go down the big old slides. I think I see some gumbo over there from the folks at Amanda. See a tent for a number of different places around here. In the National L Club tent, it's just about 30 yards over to my left as I'm looking away from Alec Box Stadium. That's where you can find Kramer Robertson, Antoine Duplantis, and Alex Milazzo. They're signing a bunch of autographs. Those are some pretty good players. There you got an All-American who was an inning away from a game away from a national championship. You've got the all-time hits leader and then a 2023 national champ in Alex Milazzo. So just a cool scene out here outside Alec Box, and we certainly appreciate LSU for making it possible for us to be here today. I just saw Doug Thompson walk in, and I just saw Lynn Rollins walk in. So however you're consuming the game, whether it's on the SEC Network Plus or it's on Eagle 98.1 or wherever you're listening to the LSU Sports Radio Network, your voice is here, and there are a lot of folks that are filing in. I will be in that number here in about an hour and a half, and I'll have a story up every single game called Palmer Post Game on LouisianaSports.net. I've got a series snapshot that's up there at LouisianaSports.net right now if you want to check that out. I haven't talked any about Purdue-Fort Wayne, and I promise you I'm not going to talk a lot about Purdue-Fort Wayne because Purdue-Fort Wayne is not really worth talking about. But you're talking about a team that wasn't good last year. They were 19-37 overall, and it shouldn't come as any surprise that they've overhauled most of the team, whether that's because guys graduated or transferred out or were forced out or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of turnover pretty much everywhere in college baseball these days, and Purdue-Fort Wayne has certainly had that. The one bat that returns who is a good player is Justin Osterhaus. He is a true freshman last year, hit .355 in 38 games, and he hit 9 home runs. He was extrapolate that out for another 15 or 18 if you'd have played all 56. You're talking about a guy who's a 350 hitter that would have hit 12, 14 home runs. That's quality stuff. They don't have anybody returning on the roster that hit over 250 with more than one home run. They've only got one guy returning on the roster who hit over 250. He hit 281. That's Camden Karczewski, and he hit one homer. So it's not a good team offensively. They've lost their 4 of their top 5 hitters. And then as far as the guys who started a bunch of their games last year, the guys who took the lion's share of their starts have moved on. So it's an overhauled team. I'm not here to break down Purdue-Fort Wayne at all, but I feel like I actually got asked about them a couple times as I was setting up for the show today. Like, what is this team? Is this team any good? And I was like, well, no, they're not. So we're not going to spend much time on them at all. The Mastodons are probably in for a three-game sweep this weekend, I would have to say. So that's all on Purdue-Fort Wayne. It's now our pleasure. Well, I thought it was going to be Kramer, but he took a turn to go talk to one of the workers, which is admirable of Kramer to go do that. Now he's going to sit down with us here and have a little bit of a conversation. Come on, Kramer. Have a seat, bud. Here he comes. So grab a seat. Bo, you got the headset ready to rock? Now he does. We're joined now by Kramer Robertson, All-American here at LSU.
Live?
We are live right now on the air, so grab a headset. It's opening day. You're back here at the box. Stirring emotions for you?
I'm not going to lie. This is really hard for me.
Yeah.
This is my first opening day that I've really been a part of since I left.
Yeah.
And so I've never really gotten to experience what opening day is outside of the stadium. This is unbelievable. This is so much fun.
It's going to be a blast to get in there, and we've got good enough weather for the time being. I know y'all have been over there signing some things. I mean, it's been an incredible crowd. You, Antoine, and Milazzo over there. Is that what it sounds like?
Yeah, I'm surrounded by the all-time hits leader and a national champion, so I'm sure I'm the third option over there.
I don't know about that. You were real close to a national championship. I wanted to ask you this question. I knew you were going to come on, and I feel like it's one that your answer could go any direction. I do pre- and post-game with Brandon Taylor for football, and he was on the team in 2011 for football that went 13-0, got to the national championship game, and came up short. And he felt like when the Joe Burrow team in 19 beat Alabama and got it done, like he personally felt some relief. I kind of thought I thought that was interesting from afar. When they got it done in 23 against the same team that beat y'all, any of that for you at all, or it still just stinks?
Dude, that's crazy you brought that up. I mean, Milazzo and I 10 minutes ago were literally just talking about that. Milazzo, after they won the national championship, he said he had a 15-minute conversation with my mom.
Okay.
Which I'd never heard about.
Okay.
And they were talking about how, they felt a lot of responsibility to, finish the job that we were unable to do in 2017. So, absolutely, when they won, it felt like a sense of closure and relief a bit, like we could close that chapter. But, no, definitely still something that everybody on that 17 team still lives with. But no doubt, it definitely gives you some closure and makes you feel a lot better, especially because it was Florida that they beat and they were able to win the national championship.
How'd you feel when you knew y'all had to beat Oregon State twice? I think they were 56-4 at that point. What was the mood of the team?
Let's do it. That's what that team was. It didn't matter what time, what day, what time of the day, what ballpark. We felt like we could beat anybody that year, and that's what made that team so special. But, yeah, it was a daunting task to go against Adley Rutschman and
Stephen Kwan,
Nick Madrigal. I mean, you name it down the list. That's the best team I've ever played against, but also that 17 team was the best team I'd ever played on. So that was daunting, but we were able to do it. Just great memories, and getting to talk to everybody out here, and they bring it up. You forget sometimes how much it means to so many people and how big this program is. So I'm sad, and it's hard to not be playing, but at the same time, like, to still be a part of this fraternity and see so many people out here that will always recognize you. It's just, you'll always be a part of this, and it's something special. You can't get this anywhere else. There's no place like Baton Rouge for LSU baseball.
I mean, you realize, like, Texas A&M has come up short twice in the last 3 years, and the guys that just came up short are legends there. You came to a place where, as you look up above us, there's 7 flags up there. But that, I don't think, should diminish at all the run that you guys went on. I mean, that was just a blast from afar to watch. And I would imagine there's got to be some – are you able to look back at it now and go, man, that was really special? I know we were 1 game short, but it was an incredible run.
Yeah, I can look back and say how special it was because it was. And I think that, there's a reason why the 2017 team is probably the only team that I've really heard, and maybe it's because I'm on it and people talk to me about it, but it's one of the few teams I feel like in LSU baseball history that you still talk about, that people still bring up, because it was just such a memorable team. You had Alex Lang, you had so many, Cole Freeman, Antoine Duplantis, so many people that had such big personalities, but we were all so close and so tightly knit that, it's still really, really hard on all of us, but there's a reason why people still talk about that team. Even if you talk to Coach Maneri before, he left for South Carolina, he still talk about his national championship team, but the 2017, 2013 team, there's certain teams that transcend, the locker room that just are special, and that was one of them.
It certainly was, and it was awesome to watch. We're chatting with Kramer Robertson, former LSU All-American here. You mentioned your first opening day here because your first opening day not playing. How's that for you?
Awesome. Yeah. It's hard, especially now that, my baseball career is finishing up, now working at LSU. But it's hard, but it's also really, really cool to experience this, and it means so much more now to me than it ever has when people come up to me and tell me how much they appreciate a certain memory or a certain game, because when you're playing, you appreciate it, but to another level now that you're finished, because you see how much your play could have meant to somebody, or your team could have meant to these fans. So it means even more now when these fans come up and talk to you, and I'm just so appreciative of my time and to have ever gotten to wear the purple and gold, because it truly is unlike any place ever.
I don't talk to a lot of people that have homered off Clayton Kershaw, so tell me what that's about. It just doesn't happen every day. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it actually is. And this sounds crazy, but for my swing, it actually was a good matchup, and I knew it was a lefty with the type of fastball that I hit well. And so I was looking for one pitch in one location, and I remember to this day I was watching Bregman's at bats against him because I knew that the same type of fastball that Alex liked to hit was the same type of fastball I liked to hit. And Bregman hit a homer against him in the World Series. So I was like, I'm watching that at bat. I guessed right, and he threw me a fastball in my honey hole, and I got him. It just was one of those moments, baseball, you can get anybody. You can get a Hall of Fame pitcher. Now, when I got to pro baseball, I got to face DeGrom and Scherzer in 4 at-bats 2 times each, which I think were my 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th at-bats of spring training. That was a little more humbling than the midseason homer off Kershaw.
Yeah, those guys are pretty talented.
I remember it was DeGrom, and I ironically got to play with him later that season when I was sent to the Mets, and I got called up for his debut, and I was talking to him about it. I was like, dude, I'm hitting in the 9 hole. It's my 6th or 7th at bat of spring training, and you rattle off like 19 out of 20 straight fastballs at, I don't know, you're 102, 103. Yeah. I get up there, and he goes slider, slider, slider. I don't see the fastball in the one fastball out of the zone, show me fastball, and throws me 3 sliders and makes me look like I've never swung a bat before. And I'm like, dude, you're one of the greatest pitchers of all time, and you got this kid trying to make the team in the 9 hole, and you're just breaking them off with sliders. Like, yeah, dude, we're just trying stuff out there.
We're just trying stuff.
You were just the victim that day.
Tell everybody what you're up to these days. I know you're back here in Baton Rouge.
Yeah, so I just accepted a job with the LSU athletic department. Had some opportunities to keep playing baseball. I finished my contract with St. Louis. But just nothing that I felt was worth continuing that grind and what it was. And this opportunity that I had here was something that was going to be difficult to turn down. And I get to be back home in Baton Rouge and around all the people that I love. And I get to stay in sports. So I love the people I work with. I love going up there, and it's really helped me get back into a routine. And when you lose baseball, man, you've been chasing it for 2.5 decades. So, you go through a period of trying to find yourself and what you want to do and who are you without baseball. So I've been working on that. I have a lot of good people in my corner, and I'm really thankful to be back at LSU and hopefully helping with the success of all the sports now.
There's a lot of success going on this campus. Your mom's part of that. How are we feeling about her team right now? Big one on Sunday.
Big one on Sunday, but again, regular season. Yeah. Do what you got to do. It's not the end of the world if you win, and I mean, it's not the end of the world if you lose, and if you win, it guarantees you nothing. So stay even keel regardless. And just stay where they're at. She knows what she's doing. She's done it for so long.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so she knows she'll have them exactly where they want to be. But, again, win or lose Sunday, it doesn't make or break your season. What matters is when you get to March, and just like baseball, when you get to the postseason, you got to be playing well at the right time, and you got to be lucky. I don't care how good your coach is. I don't care how good your team is. You have to be lucky, and you have to stay healthy. So we'll see.
He's Kramer Robertson, man. Congratulations on an incredible run on the field. Welcome home off the field, and enjoy this, man. We appreciate some time.
Thank you guys for having me.
That's Kramer Robertson, former All-American here at LSU. We got to take a timeout. One segment to go in the top of the hour. Come back with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is the website. Look, insurance, not the most fun topic in the world. I get it. I know it. I worked it 7 years. But you need to have an experienced broker and a quality broker in your corner. If you're one of these business owners that has chosen in the past to say, hey, what's the cheapest insurance I can get? Give me that. It's one way to do it, for sure, and it looks good on the bottom line. But when something happens, you're going to want to know that you're protected. And you don't want to start flipping through that policy after that and go, oh, well, let's see. I hope so. Car wrecks happen. Hurricanes happen. Lawsuits happen. You want to have a broker in your corner that's got multiple markets that can place your commercial insurance in the right place to make sure that you're protected so you can keep churning along in the event that something happens out of the site that you are looking at. Highland Insurance Group can make it happen. Check them out online, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com.
To the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Opening day at the box, and we got a starting lineup. If you're headed out here to watch the Tigers in Purdue Fort Wayne, this is the way LSU will line it up. Chris Stanfield is going to lead off. He is in center field. I got that one right in my prediction preview. Derek Curiel is going to play left field and hit second. I had him down in the 6-hole in my preview. This kid's a star. He's right there in front of Jared Jones in the 2-hole, and I like him there. I like them having to challenge Derek Curiel because you don't want to mess around with Bear Jones, who will be playing first base and hitting third. In the cleanup spot, we wondered who will be backing up Bear Jones. Who's going to be the protection for the most feared power hitter in the Southeastern Conference? Josh Pearson, the designated hitter, will get that honor today. I've said this a million times. Jay Johnson said it more than me. Jay Johnson and his staff trust Josh Pearson to give a quality at bat. Josh Pearson this year is probably not going to hit 365 with 14 home runs. Just probably not. He's probably going to hit 270. But they trust him to give a quality at bat against left-handed and right-handed pitching, and he can run out of the yard at times, and he's had some monster at bats. So Josh Pearson will hit cleanup in the designated hitter spot. In the 5-hole, Daniel Dickinson, the second baseman, transfer from Utah Valley. Curious to see how he responds to hitting in the middle of the order. Jake Brown is the right fielder. He will hit in the 6-hole. Luis Hernandez is the catcher. He'll hit 7th. Stephen Milam, the shortstop, will bat 8th. If you watched Stephen Milam at the end of last year and thought, well, man, that's a pretty good 8-hole hitter. That is a pretty good 8-hole hitter. He's going to play shortstop as a switch hitter down in the 8-hole, and Michael Braswell will hit 9th. Michael Braswell's on-base percentage last year was .411. He got on base at a 40% clip in league play last year. He's in the 9-hole in front of Chris Stanfield. So if you read my prediction preview or listened to it online, lineup preview and prediction, if you read it on LouisianaSports.net or watched me give that out earlier this week, I got the 9 guys right. I did not get them in the proper order. It'll be Stanfield, Curiel, Jones, Pearson, Dickinson, Brown, Hernandez, Milam, and Braswell. And they will be back there behind Cade Anderson on the mound. Some things that stand out here. Stanfield is the leadoff guy. They feel good about that. If he can take, he was a B- hitter last year in SEC play. If he becomes a B+ hitter in SEC play, that's a really good fire starter at the top of the lineup. I think Curiel and Jones are stars. That's 2 and 3 in the lineup. Then you got Pearson, who they trust there, and then you've got, I think, a group of 3 hitters that have a massive variance to what they could be and what they could not be. And that's Daniel Dickinson at second, Jake Brown in right, and Luis Hernandez. That is 5, 6, 7 in this lineup. And if you told me Daniel Dickinson was going to be a 340 hitter who hit 14 home runs, I would believe that, and he went in the second round of the draft. If you told me he did not have a very good year because he did not adjust to the pitching at this level, I would believe that too. There's a huge variance to what he could be, so he'll be there in the 5-hole behind Pearson. Jake Brown in right field, he was 3 for 21 in league play last year. 3 for 21. That's got to improve, and we think it will. We think he's going to make a big step, but that's got to happen. He's in the 6-hole. And Luis Hernandez, you're talking about a guy who hit 23 home runs last year at Indiana State. Now, he didn't catch last year, and he is catching today. That takes it out of you, and I don't think he's going to hit 23 home runs at LSU. If he hit 15, I'd be thrilled if he hit 15 home runs. But more importantly, as I talked about at the top of the show, I need to see him play good defense at catcher. And so that's a big deal. But those three guys have a lot of variance to what they could be. And then your 8 and 9 holes are Milam and Braswell. And to me, that's pretty high floor stuff. Those guys are going to be high on base guys. They're going to hit a lot of singles. They're going to hit some doubles. They're not going to be huge power guys, though I think Milam does have some pop in his bat. But the variance here comes at 5, 6, 7 with Dickinson, Brown, and Hernandez. If you're looking at right, left, right, I'll give you how this plays against a right-handed pitcher. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So the only back-to-back guys that will hit from the same side of the plate will be Braswell in the 9-hole and Stanfield at the leadoff spot. So Jay has layered this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, as you figure he might do. So it's a balanced lineup. It looks to be a lineup with a high ceiling. We'll see. This is the first time we'll get a look at them, and I'm excited to do so coming up here in an hour and 5 minutes. We're still outside Alex Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field. We got a ton to do in hour number 2. My hope is that we can talk to Alex Milazzo at the top of the hour, perhaps Antoine Duplantis. We will talk some football with Preston Guy coming up in 20 minutes from right now. That's our normal Friday slot, and we'll go ahead and do that as well. But we're out here at the box, and we're getting ready for opening day. Hope you were doing it as well. If you missed any of the first hour, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Had Kramer Robertson, had Jamie Tutko. It's all there on demand. We'll pause for Sports Center and come back with more on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.